Welcome. It is a Sunday, 11:07 a.m., and it's time to get real over here at the Will Studios because I am supposed to be making a comic book here. Revenant Steel didn't go into production, and when I say production, I mean writing, like everything, because it was in August last year. I was in the How to Draw Comics Academy. I'm trying to get better at creating comic books, get some feedback, because I wanted to release a comic book called Release. It's an incredible story. Release eventually will come out. I'm sure of it. But we had a drawing jam, right? It was the first time I had ever drawn like live with people on the internet. It was a lot of fun, but the subject was zombies. And I was reminded of a story I had written years before, after Game of Thrones had disappointed me, about these dark steel blades, and these guys are fighting for it's like a Highlander-esque battle for who's going to lead the army of the undead, right? And meanwhile, the undead are rising because of the machinations of this existential dread demon, right? And so the main character would be this dude who wakes up and he's like in the army of the dead, and it was kind of a comedy from his perspective. There was going to be like two stories, one from like a grunt and one from a dude who's like in the running, like the more serious sword fighting story that has all the like serious drama going on, versus the sort of comedic story of this dude who wakes up being eaten alive by rats, and he has to find his way as uh an undead soldier, right? So this was August that I decided to draw. Sorry, my freaking gotta reconnect the old tablet because might as well pull up the original page. So this was the first page that I roughed out as part of this drawing jam, right? And I think whatever. And I'm like, maybe I should just do this because, at the time I was trying to just draw quickly, and I was trying to, I needed a story that I could just hit the gas and make as quickly as possible, right? And I was going to forgive myself for not having perfect artwork. Now, of course, that part went away because I started getting feedback, and people want, the good artwork. You know what I mean? They don't want you to phone it in so that you can tell the story quicker. Okay? So I started working on my align work and stuff. I decided to go on hard art. When I went on hard art, I was still in the production mode of push it out even if it doesn't look perfect, right? And then I got tore apart by those guys. Well, not tore apart. It was fun, honestly. I loved it. Because I do want to be. It would be cool to think that I could be, drawn with those guys. You know what I mean? Or I could be as good as I could be. Because I could be great. I could be great, so why not? You know what I mean? So that's when I went. But it's like, okay. And so this morning, I'm looking at myself and I'm like, I really expect to have a printed comic book at For the Fans Fest. This is 3.5 months away. All right. And I have how much done? And I'm like, okay, where's my. So I wrote out, I'm like, okay, I got 1, 2, and 3 done, 5 done. 6 is mostly done, almost done. 8 is almost done. Like 8 is nearly completely complete. And then, so this is page 4. And 4 and 7 are about this, they're ready they need final inks, right? So that's 4, 7, 9, and then 10, 11, 12, 13 are pretty rough still. And so I need to find the words first to explain my plans. Basically, I need to crack the whip every day. I'm just going to go page by page. I'm not going to draw anything but Revenant Steel, number 1. All right. I'm going to have to cut short my live stream appearances. I love Goth Night, but staying up till 3 a.m. might not be the best for me. I'll let Dr. Ben and Reverend do that tonight. I think I'm going to be off work in time to get there around 9 p.m. when they get started. And then I can do the Michael Ferraro thing where I drop out, after a few hours, be like, hey, I got to go get work done. You know what I mean? And the power lunch is like an hour. Yeah, call out sick to work. Definitely ignore my family. And that's the biggest thing, okay? Because I love my family. But, they take time. It takes time to build a relationship with your kids. It takes time to, keep the spice alive, I find myself wanting to go places with them, But then that's 2 or 3 hours in a day, and then it's like, okay, that's like a big chunk of the day taken out, and then what do I get done? Not any work on Revenant Steel, But it's like, okay, since it was like February when the hard art review happened and I decided to be better, right? And so February, March, April, May, June, so 5 months basically I've gotten that amount of work done under the circumstances of, only getting like an hour or 2 a day sometimes, So it's time to pedal to the metal, try to give myself at least 3 or 4 hours a day. I might start, wake up. Sometimes I will wake up early and I'll get some good work done. But then, like I said, family, the dog, stuff, everything tries to tear me away from the purpose. You know what I mean? But that is not going to yield any results. The results are where the results happen, okay, when you become as crazy as possible, all right? To make the impossible happen, you have to possess a demonic drive, right? And let's go. I might, I'm probably gonna ignore a lot of the goings on online because it used to be I could turn on one of the live streams, one of the trash casts, and it would be fun or whatever for 6 hours and I could draw and listen. But nowadays, very little of it is actually fun and stuff. I don't know. It's like, it's kind of hard to draw to that. So let's go from the bottom up on this page. And I remember last time I was here, page 4, I was trying to get the angle right on these dudes' heads, right? And I think today I'm going to get it. First, let's reassess where all my layers are. I was trying to get feedback on this page at the time, and that slows. I have to just forget about that. And, the How to Draw Comics Academy has been great to me in a lot of ways, and I've gotten some great ideas. I have to try to internalize those lessons and just try to believe in myself, because it'll be freaking 30 days between feedback sessions. The freaking website said there was one a week, Is there something about comic book people, and I'm among them? I'm the most guilty person I know about over promising on what you can actually deliver. Is that just part of it? Anyway, let's try to change. Let's try to be the change. Okay. So this is how this page originally was. And but then I redid that part of the story. Yes, Dr. Ben. Comic book people are all extra weird. But yeah, I redid this whole page because I added 2 pages of the dude waking up, and then I decided that none of this made sense, and I had to redo the whole thing. The rest of the story is pretty straightforward, honestly. I feel like once I explain the whole premise, it's just we can push the sled down the hill. It's getting the sled up the hill when you're explaining to the reader visually everything that's happening in, as concise a way as I can manage with the art, where, things get that way. But I feel like I can go ahead and delete this layer. It's in the dustbin of history, the history of my artwork. This was one where I was trying to figure out the layout of the place. I can delete that one. All right. Let's go down here. Move this here. And I feel like this is okay, I got to add the shading and stuff on this panel 1, and then I can be doing final inks down here more or less on panels 3 and 4. But panel 2, I don't feel like I need to do a background there, or do I? Maybe I do. Did I delete the layer I wanted for that? No. Here, I'll put on some of this AI music. do we got? Ooh, nature sounds. It's true. You don't get into comics enough to want to make them unless you've had some sort of situation where comic books were your only companion. Those kinds of things make a person extra weird. Yeah, that was me. Surrounded by people, but reading comic books. And it's like, people compare like generational comic book people where Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were in World War II. They came home and just wanted to tell stories. And a lot of those types of people nowadays are making cartoons. They're not making comic books. They want to reach a wide audience. They go to school and end up working for production companies, right? And the people that end up in comic books are the weirdos out of those people. You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine. And this doesn't go for like the artists because, or maybe it does go for some of them because a lot of the artists have like cartoon stylings. The way they draw and everything. Like, they want a Nickelodeon show. Like, Sean Salter seemed like a cool guy, but, or actually, that was drawn by a different person. Hang on a second. I flipped to the one page that's drawn by like a different person. You know what I mean? Like, this is kind of like, those Rankin Bass, like, Year Without a Santa Claus, like, type figurines. I don't know. They're kind of bobbleheaded. He seems like a nice guy, though. But he definitely has one of those animation styles, you know? For the remainder of these pages for now, I'm just going to go ahead and not be as hard on myself, you know? And I might even, because I've been saying 60 pages, you know? And that's the 60 pages is like the first full battle. Because I had this idea in my head where it's like you'll get 4 60 to 100 page volumes, and each one will be like the major battles of the war, right? That's happening. As it builds, now I'm like, I'm once again, I'm like production, because this is the production meeting edition of Power Lunch for Revenant Steel. So I'm going to be talking about the production thereof. And I'm like, 60 pages is going to take a while. Unless I get much faster, like now. And so I'm like, if I want to come out with a first issue by the beginning of next year, because that's the idea, in my opinion, is next February, have the issue 1 campaign ready to launch. How many pages will I be able to produce in that time? Because just to try and get people to trust me, I'm going to have most of the, at least like all the line work done before launching the campaign. I want to be on a smooth trajectory so that I can give an accurate shipping date. These nature sounds are too soothing. What's atmosphere? Uh-uh. Corporate? None of these are good. Chill hop? What the hell is chill hop? I can't draw any of this. But how long does it take? Like when if I had the files ready like now, um, and I sent them to a printer, I'm gonna have to get like a test done. What's the turnaround time? I'm gonna have to actually call some of those printers I was looking up and see if they have these answers. I feel like that page 8 was probably like the most difficult of the pages that I had left to draw. So I'm glad I got that one like almost completely done at this point. And so then when I come back to that, because now I'm going to, when I'm, from here on out, it's chronological order. From here on out, it's, page by page. After this one, page 5 is done. So I guess my next one is 6. All right. And 6 is almost done. So I'll get 6 done. And then 7 is the next one that needs all the final line work done on it. Am I putting his crotch right in the freaking corner? Like, am I really going to put, because if I map this out, it's right there. Am I actually going to do that to people visually? What can I do? I have to do it. It's the only thing. I'm on a schedule now. This is what happens when you're on a schedule. All right? Is I'm not going to go back and redo this whole panel. All right? To keep his balls out of the corner. And your eyes are going to be drawn to them. All right? I'm going to draw them very well because it's the closest thing to the camera. Black it out. It's an option. I could tastefully black it out. I could put... Where's his sword right now? His sword is on his right side, so his sword's going to be coming up there. I could, you know what? I'll cheat the whole thing over. I'm not going to have to redraw the whole thing. Because I realize his crotch is kind of in the corner too. Shoot. If I move it. Nah. Black it out. I'm going to black it out. Here I am wasting time trying to think about it. You could zoom it all in enough so that it cuts him off at the waist. Yeah, I'll do that. Man. Great ideas, Dale. There you go. And then I actually don't have to draw as much either, you know? So now that clips it there, and it brings it all a little closer. The magic of living with children. Sorry if you're hearing some crying in the background. Somebody didn't get their cheese, apparently. You learn as a father what the cries mean. The tone, the pitch, the cadence, you know. Now, I'm actually not convinced I'm going to draw this part of his face right. But we can't waste too much time on those things. All right, it's been 30 minutes. I'm either going to cut the stream now or see if anybody wants to pop on. I'm going to go ahead and drop the Lincoln. Some chats. There we go. Said I'm live talking about deadlines if anybody wants to jump on. And it's 11:43 on a Sunday. You know, I might get some people knocking on the door. Who knows? I'm going to literally black out everything I don't want to draw and then look at it afterwards and then be like, you know what? Maybe I need to draw those things. You know what I'm saying? That can just be my new way of managing my time. His arm's too big. The angle's wrong on this armor. I do not care anymore. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, I'm going to erase all this, aren't I? God damn it. Inside of us, there are two wolves. Okay? There's a wolf that wants to see a thing just be finished, and then there's a wolf that wants it to be done right. Okay? And I have to listen to the right one. I have to listen to the right one. I have to make everything somewhat consistent, which means what for this armor? Do I even know what I'm saying? Am I delirious? Should I be live right now? Everyone can see it's like Will's crazy. Will's a freaking nut job. Because I figured it out. Okay, the angle on this thing is a lot more extreme down here than it was up there. So I can bring that down a little bit. I can bring that whole section down, and I can treat it less like a dang shelf and more just like a little bevel, you know. This just came up the other day, and by the other day, I believe it was yesterday, in one of the group chats I'm in, where it's like characters turnarounds, like keeping your characters consistent. It's like, do I need to take the time to draw this dude from like just every conceivable angle? Just have a sheet of a turnaround just so I can be like consistent with every part of his armor. All right, I think that looks better than what I had. It's going to cut off about there. For the panel. So that's good. That's good. I can't just compromise on everything, you know? So glad I gave him that like bulky hood. I don't have to try to draw his neck from that angle with that armor, because I probably positioned his head wrong. And if I had to draw the neck muscles, everyone would be able to look at it. And this is why, because earlier I was kind of dissing on the cartoon people, on the people with the more cartoony styles. And sometimes it's just jealousy talking, because it's like they can just put 2 lines, you know? And it doesn't have to be like exactly perfect, because they're like, oh, it's my cartoony style. I just really liked the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and decided that my comic books should look like they belong on the Cartoon Network rack. All right, dude. You do you. Meanwhile, I cannot make this freaking head look right. But you know what? I'll get better with time, okay? Just let me get this first issue done. God, that looks so bad. It looks so bad. All right. How's this head sitting on this freaking body? We got shoulder, shoulder. Here's the collarbone up here, right? There's the nice. So the neck would be like right about here, right? The neck would be right about here. He's looking off that way. So we would have this thing coming up. His ear would be back here. Okay, right? His sort of jawbone thing. Let's say that should more or less be something like that, right? You thought it was fine? All right, this one's going to be better, Dale. All right, you'll see. Because I got a totally better angle now. And I really just feel like it comes down to like this little Y right there. Right? Because I gave this guy a bit of a collar, right? So that should actually cut off. If he's wearing, let me utilize my cam. If I got this thing right, like this, let me see from like this. Look over there. So you're gonna see like this little area, right? Gosh, my imagination's so fucking good. I knew it was that little area. I knew I was showing too much of the neck. It was probably fine though, honestly. It's like, oh, how do I draw an ear from this angle? How do I draw an ear from this angle? And meanwhile, it's like this much of the page is the ear. And if I don't get it right, it's going to ruin the whole page. That's the type of stuff that prevents deadlines from getting hit. You know what I mean? You were right, Dale. I shouldn't have erased. I should have just moved on. Take this powder, rub it into some oil and pitch and coat your sword so you'll need it for the battle. To defeat the evil that is rising in the courtyard. You need this. And listen to what I am about to tell you. Is his mouth open and does that matter? Nay. Nay, it does not matter. In fact, I'm not going to zoom in more than this much anymore. Because it's messing me up. He's got a weird thin face now, right? All right. No more of that, Will. No more of that. If I can make the stubble look cool, then I can get away with this. Hey, good enough on that head, huh? Good enough on that head. I'm just going to cut off a little bit more of his neck. Give his scarf a little room to do its thing. Add in a few more lines here. Now, okay. See, I'm telling you. Now, this guy's going to be looking down a little more because he's going to be like, he's going to look a little bit towards the package maybe. Or is he breaking eye? Should he be making eye contact? Because this is like, this is another warrior that he's being recruited into this battle. They need to bond quickly. So maybe he should be making eye contact. He doesn't have any facial hair, thank God. Thank me. I guess I'm God in this story. He just has these chops, these mutton chops, and kind of spiky hair. Now, fresh off my success with Perry the Paladin, am I going to stick some sort of landing with this guy? I think I kind of did. I'm about to. And what should his name be? Huh? He's a former mercenary. He brought his men here to the new land for a simpler life. They were going to hunt beasts in the wilderness, okay? Which is a lot less simple than it sounds. But then, he's called upon to help vanquish this these things that are rising. To help in an hour of need. When 18 thralls who cannot easily be killed rise to take over this settlement. Which is like a farming, because this is an expansive empire. They discovered this new land. They were able to build ships to finally cross the ocean and navigate things. There's monsters in the ocean. This is a big fantasy world. And, so they're taking territory and they're building up settlements. So it's probably like an Old West town medieval style, right? But it's going to, they got walls, they got some buildings, and this will be kind of like, you ever play World of Warcraft? There's the undead, like, city You know, the undead. You go in, it's like, oh, this was a town once, but now it's overrun by these zombies, and there's a lich king living in the what was formerly like the only castle sort of structure in town. It's going to be like that. It's going to turn into one of those places. It's going to be great. Spoiler alert, you know, to the two people watching, my mom and Dale. Oh, Mrs. The Will. So I guess touching on my earlier thing of, okay, this is how much work I have done and this is when I need to have things done. I need to try to be at like 2 pages a week. You know what I mean? As far as finishing these pages so that I can have the line work done literally in the next 3 weeks. And then be lettering and getting the printing stuff set up, and then just do a run of prints. Forget about sign-ups and stuff, because this is the preview edition of the book. And just go to For the Fans Fest with a bunch of copies. You know what I mean? The people that attend For the Fans Fest, let's say this. The people that attend will have the first, first dibs at getting in here. What is up, Subjugates? Here, I'll post the link in it's 12:07. Oh, you're gonna stream at 2 o'clock? I'll be leaving like right at 2 o'clock here. I posted the link in the Goth Night chat. But I gotta leave for work at 2 o'clock Eastern time today, and then it should shape up to be a pretty early night for me. So I should get into Goth Night right about 9 p.m. Can you guys hear the screaming? I don't think you can, right? The screaming! The children are screaming! Not really, though. Like that Nana from Hook just collapsed on the stairs. That being said, I mean, if I don't let myself down, if I actually am getting the work done here on Revenant Steel, I might go ahead and stream until 2 p.m. Who knows? Hear noises, but not really loud. Oh, okay. Because, yeah, it's 2 little girls, so one of them takes something from the other, and then it's meltdown for a minute, and then they get distracted or find something else, or... Luckily, I don't have any stalkers on the internet that I know of, so... That I know of.
I'm gonna go grab my jacket.
It is the sound of silence. I used to know the word of those songs. Negative talk like that can bring you down. Instead, say, I don't have any stalkers on the internet yet. Yet. Nobody's flying drones outside my house. I'm not that important. I'm not the king of anything. I am not yet the Rat King of Comics Gate. Though I proclaim to be at times. No, in order to be any sort of king, you have to actually produce things. You have to produce something. I'm on the quest. I'm in the hunt for greatness. I need to try. I have to try. If I ever want to become great, truly great, I must try. I need to clip some of those movies I was in. I clipped one thing, and I was going to, I wonder if I could pull it up, because I like, so Amazon's got their anti-piracy stuff, so I try to screen record or whatever, because I bought the digital whatever editions on Amazon, right? It's like $8 for Ninjas versus Zombies, Ninjas versus Vampires. Ninjas versus Monsters, I was only in one scene, and I wasn't involved in the production really, so I didn't get that one. But what am I doing? Let's actually do things and not just move the rat mouse around and look at myself. Hold on a second. Yeah. Hold on a second. That was me in 2008. My buddy Dan guy. Oh yeah, there's the one with the. Gosh, what a great actor! What amazing acting in this movie. And I believe I made the little platform and I made the candles and stuff. At Farinum ad Mortem. He's trying to do a seance, right? Trying to do a seance to resurrect his dead brother. Because they have magic. They were secretly wizards. And then, oh my gosh, there's like some sort of demon, some sort of ghoul at the door. I made that mask too. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I did. And I was here for the Dungeons and the Dragons. Gosh, the acting is just freaking insane. Gosh, how freaking attractive is that young man? Gorgeous hair. Really incredible. But anywho, in the second movie, I was actually an Australian vampire. So I came in and I had that action. I was like, nice. Oh, I like this place. You got magic windows. That's how you know us vampires can hang out during the daytime in here. It's like, but how did you walk in? Don't ask those questions. But I had a big sword and guns and stuff. It was kind of cool. Sometimes I think about that, how like spot on my Australian accent was in that movie, if you think about it. It was like, oi! I would make sure to go, oi! Before every like sentence, to really get into the mindset, to get into the groove of like being Australian. Will, those beams aren't straight. Like, yeah, well, this is a medieval fantasy world, isn't it? And maybe they suck at cutting beams. I'll make the beams straight. You're right. I should give them some competent carpenters in this world. Okay? I can't make everybody stupid like me. I may have been to Australia once or twice. Never. I've never been to Australia. But I did play an Australian in a movie. And so I really like, I as an actor, you really have to get into the mind of your character, right? Because the backstory of my character was that me and my buddy, Dan Guy, both got turned by this vampire lord, right? And became vampire lords ourselves, right? Like, vampires took over our town, and then we turned into vampires with them, and then we ended up taking over like the gang of vampires, right? And I had a inexplicably, over the top Australian accent, and I wore a Roman centurion helmet, and I waved around a big spiky sword and had a gun. It was one of the best characters ever written, to be honest. And it's a shame that more of my backstory wasn't explored in the movie. They really did focus on the ninjas versus the vampires, like the ninjas that were fighting the vampires. And the interpersonal dramas therein, because, one of these dudes, there's a girl who becomes a witch, there are several witches. It was a good time. I don't understand why it didn't take off. The whole franchise should have taken off. But I need to clip those scenes. I need to clip the my sword fight with the ninja, which ended too quickly because they're like, it's only going to be a 15-second fight scene. We got a lot going on in this movie. We got a lot of plot to wrap up in this movie. I did not, but it was literally the one, like, I could go to a Halloween costume store right now and find the exact same Centurion helmet. Guaranteed. The unique parts of the costume was I had a black bodysuit, which I had actually should treat my things better. It was the black part of my Green Lantern costume, right? But I'm like, I'm not cosplaying as Green Lantern anymore. I'm gonna use that as, so it was my leotard with like football pads with pink feathers. I looked like a Road Warrior Kiss person. My costume was just kind of all over the place. And I had a championship WWE belt, which my sword was holstered into, right? So it looks like I have a massive like sword cod piece, which I thought was badass. Very hard to walk around. It did feel like I was walking around the set and it looked like I had a big leather dick hanging between my legs. It was kind of awesome. Those were the days. It was a good time. And if anyone's like, you weren't in movies, where are the receipts? I have an IMDb page. I'm setting myself up to draw a ceiling here because I have these beams. I have the beam that's existed in the bar the whole time that kind of helps frame the scene. And then you can assume that there are load-bearing beams on the ceiling because, you know, you could see that there was a second story from the outside early on, right? So let's actually... let's utilize the tablet and make myself a grid here. 2D grid. I'm going to angle it.
Okay. Got chips, goldfish, and little oranges. Can I have some chips? All orange things. I just realized that. How do you put the in that? I gave them our chips, goldfish, and oranges. They're all orange. It didn't even register until I said they're all orange, and I went, oh, wait, they actually are. What was the first thing you gave them? Goldfish. Yeah.
I think this is where I wanted. The gutter for this panel.
How many vegetables right now? They go. I started trying to force it.
I feel like giving myself straight guidelines and then coming in and trying to draw them straight. Actually, like, it gives me like a varied, like, it looks a little more like natural, I guess you could say. Maybe it's unnecessary. Maybe it's dumb. Who knows? So tempted to end the stream and go eat something right now. Like I haven't eaten anything yet today. It's 12:30. Should I pick up some Burger King on the way to work? Should I be a garbage person? Should I pick up some delicious goy slop? I like it. Thank you, Dale. I wonder what kind of burger Burger King's got today. Maybe they still got that Mandalorian Grogu burger. I am going to add another cross beam here in a second. Just got to decide like where would it look best, you know. Because we got this middle beam kind of cutting them in half, right? Like coming down the middle. The other two should frame them a little bit, so I think I should put it on the other side of his head, like around right here. I think should be that other beam. And that way, this beam can come like through his head, I think. And that looks good. I think that'll be good spacing.
Magnus is trying so hard to seem legit at this. He literally grabbed Axel's head and is squeezing. Like seriously. That's not how you do it. Nope. You can't be papers.
How'd they find planks that long? You know, to go across the whole floor? I guess they had they got a bunch of old growth. Because this was an uninhabited, like, continent with, is it arid climate? What do you call it where there's lots of trees? Deciduous? There's a lot of forests. Not too many beavers. Maybe 0 beavers. Well, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off an hour and a half. Or should I finish drawing these last bit of lines? I'm going to cut it off. Thanks for joining us, guys, for a power lunch production meeting. I feel like, it feels good to communicate where I'm at, really put things in perspective, set goals, and let's get this thing done. I want to have everything printed by the end of September, I guess. I want to possess the books that I'm going to sell at For the Fans Fest by the end of September. I think I could do it. If I buckle down, I think I could do it.